Hello, welcome back to Nick Lenz's Heroes Who Are Awesome and Cool, episode 2.1. In this episode, I will explain why I'm doing this exactly and stuff I may have forgotten in the first two episodes of this series. Pretty much, I was inspired by a guy named Stephen Walker, who's on this site. You also may know him as Sly Cooper 88. Now, he has a show on there called Lesson on Awesome Heroes, but I decided to use a similar format, except I don't have a movie editor. They have a picture of whoever it is. Go away, please. My internet is somehow, for some reason, not exactly working properly. Things I forgot to mention. One thing, the character Aquaman, which is my very first episode, he was created, if I get the work properly, he was created by Paul Norris and Mort Welsinger. Okay? As for Namor, he was created by Bill Everett. If I can get this to work properly, for Funnies Inc. For Motion Funnies Inc. Weekly. It's unpublished story, but it was reprinted in Namor's first public appearance in Marvel Comics #1. Okay? Now, I will do episodes like basically for Marvel and DC. I may do some independent stuff, independent heroes. Heck, I may even do some villains. I may do a villain series. Now, there are some things I forgot to mention about Namor. Number one, he has several enemies. One is Tiger Shark, who was also a member of a group called Deep Six. I forgot to mention that because it came about just before the end of the Namor the Submariner series that came back in the 90s. He does have a few other enemies. I can pull it down here. Here it is. His other enemies are Atuma, who basically is like a warlord. Excuse me. Also with Krang, Lyra, Orca, Piranha, Turek, U-Man, Phantom 5, Carol the Questioner, stuff like that. He has been married twice. First to Lady Dorma, who actually was interested in him while he was trying to court Susan Storm when she was engaged at the time to Reed Richards, to her then future husband, Reed Richards. They eventually did marry, but they were married very briefly. The reason why that was because an old enemy of his named Lyra, who was also a member of the Frightful Four, posed as Lady Dorma at the wedding ceremony. So legally, Atlantis does recognize the fact Namor was married to Lady Dorma, despite the fact he never actually spent the night with her. Yes, Lyra, who was also a member of the Frightful Four. And then when she was a member of the Frightful Four, Spider-Man teamed up with the Submariner to take her on, and of course, she was taken back to Atlantis for basically, I think she was probably, let's see, yeah, she was taken, after defeating the Frightful Four, he took Lyra back to Atlantis to stand trial for her crimes against Atlantis, perhaps one of whom basically be the murderer of Lady Dorma. His second wife, who was very much alive, she was killed some time ago. Her name was Martina. She's kind of an alien-human hybrid. Very lovely woman. She's known for being an associate member of a group called Alpha Flight. She was recently in the most recent Alpha Flight series, which came out during Fear itself. She was apparently dead for years. She was in a coma for years. Back in the 90s, she fell into a coma. Then they decided to bring her back in Dark Reign of the List. And I've heard a lot of people spoke about this. Pretty much one of the best Dark Reign of the List stories when they had Dark Reign of the List X-Men #1, where she came back as this humongous creature and she tried to kill the Atlanteans. She was sent there by the jerk Norman Osborn, who everybody would love to punch in the face. Of course, Namor killed her, and a mercy killing. He had no choice but to kill her, but she later came back thanks to Chaos War, which was a completely weird event. It was a good idea to do, but it was weird. Let's see, what else? Oh yes, Aquaman. Aquaman. I also forgot to mention he had a sidekick named Garth, who was the first of two people to hold the name of Aqualad. He later became Tempest in the 90s. Pretty much, he was a member. He was a founding member of the Teen Titans. Teen Titans founding members were 5 founding members. Unlike, let's say, the Justice League, where they had 7 founding members. Let's see if I get this right. Here we go. 7 founding members. Okay? The other founding members besides him were Dick Grayson, my third favorite DC superhero, Donna Troy, Kid Flash, of course, Aqualad, and finally, Roy Harper, a.k.a. Speedy, a.k.a. Arsenal, a.k.a. Red Arrow, who is now a complete jerk in New 52, and nobody likes the New 52 version. Garth, on the other hand, which I'm just an extension of Aquaman, he basically was a member of the Teen Titans for a brief period of time, for a couple years, and then he left the team because he had some differences. Of course, according to the original story, Speedy was brought into the team as a replacement for him, though it was later retconned in the final issue of Volume 1 for Teen Titans that Speedy was a founding member of the team. Now, Aqualad made his debut in Showcase number 30. Yeah, it was part of the brief feature that Aquaman had in Showcase. Now, this is during the Silver Age. Aquaman in the Golden Age had no wife and he had no sidekick. He was just a solo hero. He didn't do particularly that big amount of much in the Golden Age. The only group he is known for joining is the All-Star Squadron. He never joined the JSA. He never joined any other group except for the All-Star Squadron itself. So the Golden Age Aquaman is pretty much almost virtually forgotten. But there was a Golden Age Aquaman. And I should note this. The Golden Age Aquaman never met the Silver Age Hawkman while they were around. When the Golden Age Hawkman finally made his final appearance, it was in the issue 60 of the All-Star Squadron ongoing series. This is before the series got canceled. This was also the last regular issue which featured the team as regular for our story. And then they made the series, a Spotlight series, which was lasted for 6 issues, and the series got canned. Excuse me, but pretty much during the Golden Age it was, and also Aquaman did not have his Atlantean name, the Golden Age one. He was simply Arthur Curry, which is his legal name. The Silver Age Hawkman and pretty much the current Aquaman has that too, but he has an Atlantean name named Orin. O-R-I-N. That's what his wife Mira calls him. Okay, and I don't like the fact that Dan Didio wanted to split these two up. When Jeff Johns ended his run, he ended it very well with issue 25 of Aquaman. But when it comes to Aquaman, he also, I should tell you all this, I have just heard recently Aquaman is getting a second spin-off. He's getting a second ongoing series called Aquaman and the Others. This actually sounds quite interesting. Though I've heard some people don't like the Others very much because they think that the other story, which was the second story of Jeff Johns' run, they thought it was boring. I thought it was an interesting take. I mean, Aquaman forming his own team, comprised of people who are probably Atlanteans, doing something like that. It's an interesting concept of basically Aquaman have his own team besides being the Justice League. I mean, Batman had one for years called the Outsiders. Superman has his own team called the Superman Family, Supermen of America. Wonder Woman does not technically have her own team of her own besides Justice League. Flash, just a Flash family. Green Lantern, obviously Green Lantern Corps, so that one's a dead giveaway. He already had his own team. Martian Manhunter himself never really formed a team of his own that I can think of, but give or take about that. As for Namor, he did form his own team, known as the Deep Six. The original Deep Six came about because Namor was framed for crimes in the surface world. So this team came together. One of whom was Tiger Shark. But they disbanded. They even fought the Avengers once. But typically, the whole point of the team was to clear Namor of clear him of crimes he did not commit. Okay. There is some significance. Besides with Defenders, he was heavily involved with the X-Men books for years. Typically in hanging on the pages of Uncanny X-Men. And during the events of Quarantine, he was basically confined to the surface, which is basically because Cyclops did something very smart. He decided to have Namor quarantined so he wouldn't spread the disease, whatever the disease this was, to his own people, which is a very smart move. Because if a king, like Namor, spreads the disease to his people, that means he's a murderer. The people will probably see him as a murderer because they brought a disease to him. So Cyclops did a good thing by having him quarantined. He had no choice but to stay there. But pretty much, that's pretty much it. Stay tuned for episode 3. This is episode 2.1, the Interlude. Okay? Bye.